end of fibula and tibia joined together with the help of syndesmosis. Syndesmosis tibia fibularis. It is very strong syndesmosis, more easy to broken lateral ankle than broken if you want to broken syndesmosis. It is very strong articulation. Syndesmosis tibia fibularis. And here it is, we have anterior and posterior ligament, ligamentum tibiae fibularis anterior and posterior. Next, joint between bones of the leg and talus, articulatio talocruralis. How many bones here it is? 3, talus, tibia and fibula. That is why it is compound. It is hinge joint, but shape of talus posteriorly is narrow and anteriorly it is wider. That is why in time of flexion in this joint, ankle joint, narrow part of talus present in space between lateral and medial malleolus. That is why hinge joint usually it is uniaxial, but this hinge joint biaxial, because it is possible to make abduction and adduction in ankle joint. And main movement, of course, that is extension and flexion. Extension when we move foot upward, and flexion when we move foot downward. Extension and flexion, and in position of flexion it is possible abduction and adduction. Flexion and extension in frontal axis, and abduction and adduction in vertical axis. Here it is, vertical axis, and we make abduction and adduction. Next, joints between tarsal bones, intertarsal joints. First, between talus and calcaneus bone, articulatio subtalaris. Articulatio subtalaris. It is simple cylindrical joint, and this joint has a very strong ligament. This ligament is in sinus tarsi. Do you remember which structures makes sinus, sinus tarsi? Sulcus tali and sulcus calcanei. Between these two grooves we have space, that is sinus, sinus tarsi, and in this sinus we have ligament, ligamentum talia calcaneum interossum. That is very strong ligament in this joint. Next joint, that is talia calcaneo-navicular joint, articulatio talia calcaneo-navicularis. It is spheroid compound joint because it is 3 bones participate, and this joint is multi-axial. Next joint, that is articulatio calcaneo-cuboidea. Calcaneo-cuboidal joint, it is saddle joint, and here it is 2 axes of movement. And between these last 2 joints, articulatio talia calcaneo-navicularis and articulatio calcaneo-cuboidea, sometimes combined into one joint, that is transverse joint of tarsus, articulatio tarsi transversa, or Chopard's joint. Why it is necessary to do? Because sometimes if we need to remove foot, for example, in time of gangrena, necessary to remove part of the foot. And sometimes we make operation in this joint. We remove it in joint between talus, calcaneus and navicular bone, and between calcaneus and cuboid bone. And we speak about Chopard's joint or articulatio tarsi transversa. And this joint has very important ligament that is key of Chopard's joint. Ligamentum bifurcatum. This ligament has 2 bundles. One bundle from calcaneus bone goes to navicular, ligamentum calcaneo-naviculare. Another ligament from calcaneus bone to cuboid bone, ligamentum calcaneo-cuboidea. And together these 2 bundles makes ligamentum bifurcatum. And if you cut this ligament, you can open this joint and remove part of the foot in time of operation. That is why ligamentum bifurcatum, that is key of this joint, because key, what key to do? It opens door, for example, and here it is, if you cut this ligament, you opens this joint, chopars or joint or articulatio tarsi transversum. Next, articulatio cuneo-navicularis, between three cuneiform bones and navicular bone, that is plain, compound, multi-axial joint. And next, that is joints between tarsus and metatarsus, tarso-metatarsal joint. And here it is, we have three joints. First, between os cuneiforme mediale and first metatarsal bone. Second joint between os cuneiforme laterale and intermedia and second and third metatarsal bones. And last, between cuboid bone and fourth and fifth metatarsal bone. One again, first it is simple joint between medial cuneiform and first metatarsal. Second and third joints, they are compound. In this joint, how many bones? 1, 2, 3, 4. And in this joint, 3 bones, cuboid, fourth and fifth metatarsal. That is why 1 simple and 2 compound, plain, multi-axial joints. And next, these 3 joints, the same combined together in one name, that is tarso-metatarsal joints or Lisfranc's joint, because sometimes heat is the same, we can make operation. That is ligamentum cuneo-metatarsum interossum, that is key of this joint, cuneo-metatarsa interossum. Next joint between metatarsal bones and phalanges, metatarsophalangeal joint. They are simple, ellipsoid and biaxial joints. And in this joint, in plantar surface, necessary to know ligament, ligamentum metatarsum transversum profundum, deep transverse metatarsal ligament. And next, interphalangeal joints, articulatio interphalangia. In all toes we have proximal and distal, but in first toe, only one joint between proximal and distal phalanges. Sometimes 2 joints may be in fifth toe. That is why in this case it is will only one interphalangeal. Second, third, and fourth toes has proximal and distal interphalangeal joints. And last moment, I think you know that foot is not plain. It has arches, and these arches start from cuboid bone, from tuber calcaneae, and continues to all of these 5 metatarsal bones. They are 5 longitudinal arches and 1 transverse arches in the region of base of metatarsal bones. These arches forms with the help of bones of the foot and ligaments, and main ligament in longitudinal arches of the foot, that is long plantar ligament, ligamentum plantare longum. This ligament starts from tuber calcaneae and continues to each of these metatarsal bone. Long plantar ligament, ligamentum plantare longum. And muscles of the foot, the same, participate in arches of the foot, because if foot is flat, it is dangerous for what? For joints, because high pressure in this case will in ankle joint, then in knee joint, in hip joint. That is why it is good for us if foot has arches. Your question?